Tim, welcome to Watch One, and thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Dual Time, reference 26120ST. You can see this 39mm stainless steel Royal Oak on our website, watchyouwant.com. Take it home if you like, and if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc. Now on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see that the 39mm Royal Oak is neither oversized nor undersized, it's perfectly sized. Now 50 millimeters from extremity of lug to extremity of lug, it fills a wrist, even a larger wrist, and with a fully integrated bracelet, the hallmark of the Royal Oak from the beginning in 1972, visually it reads even bigger than it is. Now it's a nice svelte 10.5 millimeters thick. So with that nicely sloped bezel, it easily slips under a dress cuff. With the stainless steel and the silver dial, it has the versatility to work with any attire. So this is a sports watch or dress watch at your discretion. Now the bracelet is always a highlight of any Royal Oak because of the amount of hand finishing that goes into it. First of all, there are beautifully evacuated channels on the bottom, so it doesn't pinch skin, it doesn't pull hair. But even on the tops, you can see why those who are in the business of refinishing watches professionally say that watches like the Royal Oak and the Patek Philippe Nautilus are the most challenging for even a master to restore fully. Now this one right here exhibits the outstanding factory chamfer and the taper of the chamfer off the lugs and the case flanks that define the subtleties of this bracelet. You can see polished on the shoulders, brushed on the tops. It's only polished on that very narrow little chamfer. But what you also note is that the taper is almost imperceptible. You can see it as a whole, but the individual steps are almost impossible to discern. And even as I run my finger over the stepped links leading up to the lug, I really can't feel the graduation so much as I just feel a single sweep of metal. It's that subtle, it's that well done. Now the same level of metallurgical magic is invested in the entire watch. Again, I called out the taper of the chamfer on the flanks of the case, but the bezel itself is a masterpiece. Now octagonal, it incorporates Royal Navy imagery. Original designer Gerald Genta wanted to evoke the porthole of a Royal Navy battleship, and it features the inset circumferential white gold bezel bolts that have made this design quite famous, honestly. They're not screws, although they look like screws, but they're famously aligned, and that's achieved by creating a sort of countersunk technique whereby these are actually bolts that are threaded on their back and retained by screws on their undersides. So you get that countersunk aligned white gold bezel bolt look that defines the Royal Oak. Now polished on its sides, brushed on its tops, the bolts themselves are polished for contrast. It's a gorgeous image that frames the main event. A silver, intricately detailed Audemars Piguet tapisserie dial. Now this is a classic Q, but there is a new evolution, and here we have some complication with a practical facet. Audemars Piguet's Royal Oak Dual Time uses a JLC base movement. The root caliber is the JLC 939, but Audemars Piguet modifies it so that all controls, all complications and indications can be set through the crown. There are no extra pushers or adjusters. Now you watch as I adjust the second time zone. It's cued to a little reference AM/PM indicator, so you can tell when you're looking at your remote time zone whether, for instance, you're looking at 6 o'clock in the evening, 6 o'clock in the morning. It makes that distinction for you so you can avoid inopportune phone calls at the worst possible times. Now you can pull the crown out all the way, in which case all of the times adjust in sync, so you have the convenience of syncing those time zones and simply setting the AM/PM indicator to your local time when you don't need the travel time zone. Now when you wind it, you can see the power reserve begins its march towards full status, and at its extremity, the power reserve of this watch is 38 hours. Now the power reserve of 38 hours is fairly short, so with two time zones, an AM/PM indicator, and a date, this one helps you keep track of just how long till it drops dead. It's a nice measure. It's also an artistic balance to the date and the second time zone that brings a little bit of order to the dial aesthetically. Now the watch does have a solid case back. You can see the classic Royal Oak logo. Now the watch is actually thinner for having a solid case back. Sapphire tape taking up extra space. To keep this watch under 11 millimeters thick, AP goes with the solid case back. Now what they also offer in terms of artistic finish is a clasp, double-deployant, that's actually as gorgeous as any other part of the watch. Now when it's closed, it's subtle, it's discreet. It's not like a Rolex Oyster clasp. Rather, it's more like the Rolex President bracelet in that only this marquee, the AP logo, lets you know the partition point. Now, twin trigger release, very secure when closed. It's also ergonomically easier for a smaller wrist because you don't have that single up and over fold of a single deployant. Each one of these beautifully polished AP logo swing arms closes individually for an easy fit. Now, there is no evidence of stamping, machining, any unfinished metal in here. The clasp, although it's not a component you're likely to see often, is just as finely finished as any part of the bracelet, the bezel, or the case. Now you can see this Audemars Piguet Royal Oak dual time with Jaeger-LeCoultre based dual time movement automatic winding, free sprung with unlubricated high-efficiency ceramic rotor bearings on our website, watchyouwant.com. It's a little bit of something old and something new. You have all those recent refinements in movement technology inside with the classic and iconic Audemars Piguet Royal Oak look in 39mm on the outside. See it, and if you like, take home both of these time zones on our website, watchyouwant.com.